TheeLitOne, what's poppin'? We are on Twitch. We're not live, but you can leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notification bells. Let's continue to grow the family from Chicago to the UK, man. This is the warning screen behind me. Might need it. Twitch.com is where you can't catch a live stream. Usernames at the bottom. And we also got Patreon Monday through Sunday. UK TV shows, movies, and Premier League highlights. This is OnlyFans prison guard caught filming with inmate gets locked up. It's not funny. Let me watch.
Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. No copyright infringement intended. All rights belong to their respective owners.
You engaged in sexual activity with a prisoner. That compromised your role as a prison officer and was misconduct which undermined discipline within the prison and put fellow officers at increased risk.
The British prison guard who was caught having sex with an inmate.
She got YSLs?
Increased risk.
She trimmed. Her OnlyFans careers went through the roof after this.
The British.
Look at this. YSL belt. Suit kind of nice. I don't know what glasses that is. Right.
Prison guard who was caught having sex with an inmate in London's notorious Wandsworth's prison has officially been sentenced for her actions. We're going to break down some new details of this case as we try to understand what she did and what her fate will be. Well,
at the end of the day, I would want to ask her, was it worth it? Like, and I mean it though, like, what was it really worth it financially? The financial gain that you got from it, was it worth it? And the answer, shockingly, is probably yes.
Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about 31-year-old Linda Catherine D'Souza Abreu, a married mother, according to the New York Post, an OnlyFans creator, and most importantly for this, she was a former prison guard at HMP Wandsworth, and she was filmed in a video that went absolutely viral this past summer.
Yeah, and I seen it, the whole thing from start to finish. This is crazy.
Of her having sexual relations
allegedly
with an inmate.
Allegedly, I seen it.
Named Linton Weinrich. And according to the New York Post, Weinrich was locked up for stealing more than $82,000 worth.
Oh, bro got money. He got real motion. He got the, what is this? Whatever this is, Amiri.
Of luxury goods. So again, this was a recording. This was a cell phone video recording of this. It was recorded by a fellow inmate who appeared to be smoking cannabis and watching this all unfold. It's unclear how he...
They are shocked that these things go on in prison.
Was able to get this contraband into the prison. But it is a 4.5...
From her. Y'all not putting that together? She was the inside man.
Minute video where Abreu is even wearing her prison guard uniform. And in the cell phone video, the BBC reports, you can hear the other inmate who's watching all of this unfold say,
"Yeah, this is how we get down in Wandsworth, the mind it.
This is how we live at Wandsworth."
Hey, I did not watch. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Bruv. Now, Abreu not only pleaded guilty to misconduct in public office for this incident, but she also admitted to performing oral sex on that same prisoner on the same day, which was apparently captured on her prison-issued body-worn camera. And it was indicated in court that
she did not care. She was risking it all for bro.
There was at least one other sexual incident with the same prisoner on a separate occasion. This is according to the BBC. In fact, the judge overseeing this case indicated that the cell phone video was not an isolated incident, but it was part of what he considered to be repeated behavior. Now, during her sentencing, which just happened this week in Isleworth Crown Court in London.
That looked like him. That's him.
We obtained a lot more details about Miss Abreu. We learned more about her capture, and we learned more about elements surrounding this crime. So according to the court, Abreu started work in January of 2024. That was about 5 months before this incident.
They should have knew. They should have knew the prisoners was going to be on that. Throwing all type of...
She had completed basic training in April, and that training included avoiding circumstances where she could be compromised by inmates. It's a very big component of the job. And the court said that Abreu's OnlyFans account, it had been dormant for a while at this point. But here's the big issue. Judge Martin Edmonds KC indicated what the main issue was with what Abreu did. That the victim in this case was the prison service. And you think about the harm that was caused.
The victim was the prison service. What about that poor inmate who was taken advantage of by Mrs. Abreu? This is a strategic move. This is somebody in power taking advantage of somebody in prison.
And also the harm that could foreseeably be caused.
At the time of the offence, you were distracted from your job and your radio and keys were at risk. That is, in itself, a risk. An inappropriate relationship, whether freely entered into or the result of manipulation by a prisoner, creates a significant risk to the good order of the prison and makes the prison officer vulnerable to coercion by the prisoner to disclose information or carry contraband. The consequence of your behaviour becoming known within the prison has been that female officers at Wandsworth have been subject to abuse and harassment from prisoners. Female officers have reported being subject to sexual approaches and say that they have become seen as fair game.
And Judge Edmonds also cited how the children of female corrections officers have been teased and have been bullied about their mother's job because of what Abreu did. He indicated that what she did hurts recruiting. It adds to the growing problems of prisons, particularly Wandsworth, which is apparently known for a whole host of issues. We'll talk about that. But the judge had to weigh aggravating versus mitigating factors to determine her sentence. And this was really interesting because
Wandsworth should have did a little more vetting, man. She had an OnlyFans account, whether it was dormant or not. This was her moment, and she took full advantage of it. I guarantee you she made at least $250,000. I ain't even gonna hold. She had to have.
He explained how Abreu claimed, look, she said she had no prior knowledge of the video being recorded, but she did consent to it, knowing that she had no control over it, or its dissemination, or her privacy, and that essentially there was a risk of it being released and being made public and going viral, which it did. Plus, by the way, the court indicated that a video like that could subject her to blackmail in her role as a prison official. Now, before we go any further into this, I'm sorry.
That prison official, she did not care. That was a calculated risk.
I got to take a quick detour. I have something that I am so excited to tell you guys about. There is this men's grooming company. It's called Brickle. Was she really? Did she really not? Indicated, well, sidebar or scan the QR code on screen and claim your free kit today. Now, Abreu, according to the court, indicated, well,
shout out to Jesse Weber. You got you a commercial. You put it in there. You're getting bread. Shout out to you.
She was under duress. The problem with that is, was she really? Did she really not understand what she did? Because according to the court, after she was detained, which by the way was at the airport as she was boarding a plane to Madrid, take a listen.
You say you were planning to leave the country only until the public and media interest in the video had died down. You maintain that you did not understand that your misconduct had been illegal, although to Dr. Kuhlman, you said that your husband had advised you not to hand yourself in. This is an instance of many apparently contradictory things that you've said in accounts that you've given. The fact is that you were clearly aware.
If that was her husband that was walking her into in the court, keep in mind she still got that YSL belt. It's nice, she's fitted. And did you see his watch? I'm telling you, she made a good penny from this. And I feel like no matter what sentence is handed down, whatever came with it, it was worth it for her, in her mind, in their mind.
That the video was evidence of serious misconduct when you planned to leave the country. You and your legal representative had prepared a written statement of some length and detail. It asserted that you acted under duress, making detailed and serious allegations against the prisoners. In effect, you accused the prisoner of rape, aided and abetted by the second prisoner.
We seen the video. This was not that.
You've now made it clear that was a false allegation, supported with false details.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is not great, but again, that has to be balanced by mitigation. So what is mitigation here? Well, as the court indicated at one point, she had a reputation for...
Look at the watch. Look at the watch. That's a skeleton Rolex? What is that? Come on, man. They cleaned up. I'm telling you.
For good character. She's shown remorse and deep shame and distress for what she did. She pled guilty. She has a background of trauma. She has a 7-year-old child. Her being separated from that child will have adverse consequences, of course. And the court also indicated with her mental health issues, prison is going to be very difficult for her, given the lack of resources they have to treat that. In fact, the judge had this to say about her evaluation by a mental health professional. The court said that the doctor, quote, he diagnosed a borderline personality disorder, which he regarded as severe. It is combined with ADHD and makes you highly impulsive and reckless so that you tend to act without considering the consequences. You have a history of engaging in high-risk behavior and of using sex as a means to feel positive emotions. His view is that you thrived on the fear and anxiety of the dangerous environment, your control over the prisoners, and the attention you received.
I know a lot of women like that. I know a lot of men like that too, so I ain't gonna say no. I got no comment about this.
He found that you knew full well that you were breaching your duties, saying that this merely enhanced your positive mood and that you were almost intoxicated by engaging in high risk such that the consequences of your actions were not consciously considered. So in the end, the judge started with 24 months in prison, considered the factors, including that she pled guilty, and ultimately sentenced her, whittled that down to 15 months. Now, half of that is to be
7 months. She probably gonna get 3 months. She probably gonna be in there 3 months.
served in custody, unless prison authorities deem she should be released earlier, and the remainder will be served on license. So you're serving the sentence, but you're serving on the outside. You're not in prison. And you have to think, why would she do this? Why would she engage in this behavior? Well, I have a little bit more information on that. But first,
tell us.
I want to bring in prison consultant Justin Paperny to talk more about this. Justin, thanks so much for coming on. Happy New Year. Good to see you. What a case to start off the new year. First of all, your just overall thoughts on this.
So 2 thoughts came to mind on why this is a prison case. One, in America, very few prison cases are resolved within 6 months. I can only think of like the Matt Boyer, Shohei Ohtani gambling investigation. So 6 months is pretty quick from start to finish. She should feel fortunate to get clarity so quickly. 2 things come to mind. One, the reputational damage and embarrassment to the prison system of a video like that going viral. Just the damage. 2 things come to mind. One, the reputational damage and embarrassment to the prison system of a video like that.
Oh yeah, to the prison system.
Just the damage alone, the staff watching that. So you have the reputational damage together with the risk to guards, primarily other prison guards, because prisoners will find weaknesses in the system and they could see this as an opportunity to exploit the system and make it more violent or greater risk for staff. So that's the reason. Something that probably prison could have been avoided, I think, if this video didn't go viral. The judge saw this as an example, as an opportunity to make an example of someone to punish, and whether it was...
They ain't make an example of her. She got off with probably 3 months of prison and a huge bag. And once she gets out of prison, can you imagine how many like interviews she gonna be doing? Like this is, or that she could possibly do. There's probably been people reaching out left and right, but she had to get through the case first. She'll have to get through the case. She'll have to do everything. She'll have to get off license, and then she'll be having a bunch of interviews booked. Like, what? Y'all not even thinking about the long run, like the long game, but like, was it worth it is my question.
15 or 24 months, he wanted prison time. He got it, and I hope she uses this opportunity, as I did in prison, to reflect, to assess how you got here, to make better decisions moving forward, and to not allow 15 months or 17 months on the inside to become a life sentence. This could become a good thing for her, or it can just continue the trauma she has endured.
I thought it was very, very
Do y'all believe that if this was the opposite, male prison guard with female prisoner, that we would be talking about her, the guard, like this? Absolutely not. No way. This is all cap.
concerning the idea of her leaving her radio, her leaving her keys, what that could have led to, an escape, imagine other prisoners are let loose, what could have, happened there. And then also the idea, you put other officers at risk by this behavior, and you're creating distress in their life. That was a key factor that I hadn't, initially considered. I think there's an aspect of this case, you say, oh my gosh, this is conduct unbecoming, how could you do this? But then you think about the actual physical dangers that could have resulted from this.
Right. So her approach could be, this was a victimless crime. It was, I made this choice. It was the other prisoner in me. But the consequences of her conduct within the institution are going to be felt for years.
That's the institution's problem. They shouldn't be hiring random people just to fill the void in the prison. That goes back to y'all hiring wrong people. Y'all be hiring GameStop employees and Asda grocery bag workers. Cart pushers, go get, no, brother. I understand equal opportunity, but come on.
Years to come, there is an opportunity for the prison system to embrace different oversight, better hiring practices, better training, mental health training for prisoners on the inside and staff. But the problem is, I would love to see more money spent on helping people in prison prepare to go home. And then when you have examples like this, they're going to say, we need more security. We need more staff. We need more training. But it will absolutely lead to some oversight within the prison. That viral video changed everything, Jesse, because hardly a day passes in America without some...
That's good. It brought light to real issues in the prison system in the UK. So a couple of things needed to be fixing. She just was the hope, the light, the olive branch.
Prison guard getting fired for some misconduct, smuggling in an iPhone or drugs, sexual misconduct. It happens from the penitentiary down to the camp. That viral video changed everything. Long-lasting implications, including new training practices. Part of the problem is it's hard to hire in corrections, to get someone to work in that riskier, predatory environment. So there's only so much progress they're going to be able to make. That much I can tell you.
Do you think the sentence is appropriate, not only given what she did, but you heard the allegations that she lied? She said that she was...
Y'all about to find out. Give it about 15 more months. Y'all gonna find out that she really lying to y'all when she out here doing all these interviews for pay, when she doing all these 20v1s, when she's a YouTube sensation. She gonna be running it up. Possibly.
Sexually assaulted. She was under distress. And then she ultimately recanted that. And the judge said this is just a long list of inconsistencies. And on top of the fact, there was the whole issue of where she was detained from, right? She was detained at the airport. The judge had said, she indicated she was just going to go to Madrid until everything died down, that she didn't really appreciate the consequences of her actions. But then on the same token, her husband allegedly told her, don't turn yourself in. So there's these other things that are amplified.
Weren't they swingers or something like that?
After the incident, that I wonder, do you think 15 months is appropriate?
I think it's plenty of time. This is going to be a lifelong consequence for her, even if she got probation or walked out of that.
This is I understand that he's real versed in whatever he does, this gentleman, but I think that's a very naive standpoint. Just from I ain't even gonna hold you. The women in 2024, 2025 that be on the internet and be on the type of OnlyFans models that women are, the type of people that OnlyFans models are, She ain't thinking like that. She is not remorseful. She capping for the camera right now. It's well played. It's well played. And in 15 months, mark my words, keep this video saved in your save. Watch later. Y'all gonna see her doing interviews. Y'all might see her getting booked for 20 V1s in America. Y'all might see her everywhere on the internet, on YouTube, y'all might. There's a possibility, a strong one. There's a strong capital gain that she can have off of this. And I believe she knows it. And I believe she's already started taking advantage of it.
Courtroom, that viral video will change the rest of her life. It will change the rest of her.
She's probably already recorded some interviews, but they can't drop them until whatever date that's set up. Like 100, yeah, I'll give you the interview. Just give me blank amount of money and write in the contract that you can't drop it until my prison sentence is up, including the license on watch.
Children's life. So the sentence isn't
the real victim in any of this is not the judicial system, not the jail. No one cares. Y'all know what y'all be doing. The only victims in this is the kids. I feel bad for them kids, but this is all calculated. I don't care what you say.
Isn't as important as the collateral consequences that are following. Indeed, had her post-defense conduct, had she not lied, not tried to cover up or make matters worse, it could have been 5 months or 6 months, maybe a sentence she could have served at home. I just pray she uses this as an opportunity to reflect and grow.
Bro, she's using this as an opportunity just to capitalize. She just waiting. It's stewing. Even when she get out, she could be social media famous. She could be on any, what's those Big Brother TV shows? She can do any of that just from this scandal. She gonna be, she has a possibility to be very lit.
Sometimes going to prison, I know in my case, was the best thing that ever happened to me, but I was willing to work and assess how I got there. There's the other argument too. If she has this OnlyFans account, you could argue maybe there was some, I'm going to get, I don't know about caught, but people are going to see this. This could advance her agenda if she wants.
100%. There you are. There's a smart man. This is what it is. 100%. 100%. It's nothing but this.
To move her business in a whole new direction, which could be possible.
It is possible. It's more likely than the latter. It's more likely than that other stuff you was talking about.
So she has choices to make while she's in custody to reflect and atone, or just go totally down a terrible, awful path. But the sentence,
I mean, she could still reflect and atone and still go get that bag because it's available. You know what I'm saying? She could, remember the Bad Baby? The Catch Me Outside girl, remember how it started? It wasn't like this, but it's very similar. It could, she just spawned a whole career out of it.
It doesn't matter as much. It's already a life sentence in so many ways.
Let me ask you this. The question, of course, is why? Why would she have done this? So the judge talked about how in her letter to the court, she viewed this prisoner as her protector, that she felt safe. And the judge said this is conceding to the manipulation. Again, something as a guard that she needed to protect herself against. That she enjoyed this sense of power, this grandiose nature of this, your mood changes. She loved working there. That she maybe would have wanted even a relationship to continue with this inmate after he was released. I'm curious your thoughts on that. Is that common in these kinds of cases?
It is common. When you're spending time 12, 15, 18 hours a day in a prison away from home, there could be some mental health issues, some trauma, and you form a connection, and it's easy to, there are people in prison who are there because they have manipulated, stolen, connived, done bad things. So some people have a skill set to exploit. And if this woman didn't understand some of her tendencies, it's why so many people go to prison, they didn't know their tendencies. It's why prison guards can get exploited and sees opportunities. What are her tendencies? He was my protector. He was looking out after me. I felt a connection. As a reward or as a way to feel closer, I'm going to engage in this conduct. So you rationalize and convince. As I've said on your show before, you can't get into trouble unless you see some opportunity. I can assure you right now, there's some guard feeling some attraction to a prisoner and might rationalize, this is something I'd like to do. But the majority of them are good and don't seize that opportunity. We can convince ourselves of anything. And I think on the inside, presuming she has some willingness to introspect and self-examine, she'll recognize what she did was wrong. It hurt.
Maybe. But the allure of that bag is going to be
the reputation of the prison. It's going to lead to risk for more female prison guards, and really the lifelong sanction for not just her.
She don't care. Man, I'm like, pause before I make this statement. If I was in her situation, I would not care. I'm running up the bag. Pause, like the highest level of pause, like that there could be. But I'm running up the bag. Y'all gonna hate me for it, but I'm going to go get that. I could possibly make like $4 million. I'm going to go get that.
But for her children, and I hope she overcomes that and recognizes no rationalization justifies what she did. It was wrong, and she brought risk to other people in that prison, both prisoners and staff.
So I want to play you something right now. So this appears to be from Abreu's TikTok account from July of 2024. Let's play a sample of that.
On the topic of impersonation, I thought it very important for me to address this very distasteful subject of OnlyFans creators impersonating and pretending to be me and recreating the scenario of said scandal, which I am involved in. Very, very distasteful for you to monetize.
Oh yeah. She already, see what I'm saying? She was doing this type of monetization. Yeah, it was me in the video. Let me make these TikToks. Her TikTok was probably banging 100%. I mean, it was off the meter. Instagram off the meter. Facebook, it was probably going crazy. And guarantee she's talking about this right now. But this is monetized, this TikTok video. 100%. She has to speak like this right now. But she's gonna come out. She sounds like she's smart. No matter how she wraps it up, she gonna come out interviewing.
Or advertise yourselves as me for OF content.
So Justin, what are your thoughts on that?
You can't undo what's been done. The damage in a viral video is going to lead content creators around the world who are bored or want to advance their agenda or get more likes, followers, and shares. Of course, they're going to create and use this content. In retrospect, what she should have done was understand before agreeing to have sex with this prisoner and then agreeing that it was going to be on film. And even though she says she didn't know that it was going to be shared, please, of course she knew at some point this would be distributed. She's not in a position to undo what's been done. What she should say is, I should have given more thought to how this video would impact my job, the prison system, how people would perceive me. I can't control what people are going to put out there. I wish they didn't do it. I'd ask you to stop, but it's a consequence of my bad choices. Once she looks in and says it's my fault, I'm going to do better, I'm not saying she's going to get sympathy.
I'm glad I reacted to this. Because they're not wrong for thinking what they're good thinking, but I'm gonna teeter the other way.
But people are going to begin to finally say this: she's getting it. She's making better decisions. She wants to stop the madness. Until then, it's going to be more of what we're hearing right now.
That idea of accepting responsibility, because I want to play you a little bit more of this video. Again, this is before her sentence and anything like this. So let me play you a quick clip of this.
And lastly, I wanted to tell you all that you do not know my side of the story. The media has a great way of getting...
There's no side of the story. You're on video gotten. You was on video bopping. Bopper, sock 'em, bop 'em. You was on video doing your thing. We don't need immediate. We don't need to play the media side, your side. We seen it.
A narrative and twisting it.
No. They didn't paint a narrative. There was a 4-minute video. He painted a narrative on you. My bad.
For its own benefit. the media love any story to be salacious and sensational, and they sensationalize everything.
So Justin, yeah, she's talking
sensationalized. It didn't need to be sensationalized. It was already tantalizing
about her side of the story. We haven't heard her side of the story. She doesn't reveal in this video what that side is, but we all heard what the judge seemingly explained what that was, that, you know, there's this media sensation, that they lie about everything. I mean, the thing is that she did this, Justin, and she knew she was being filmed, and despite her claims that she was under duress, we know the court said that didn't seem very true. I'm just curious, you know, your thoughts on that, because she also said in this video, you don't know who your real friends are. So it was kind of these, you know, these curious things she's saying, but she didn't quite defend herself.
So here's part of the reason she got 15 months in prison. By claiming it was duress, or perhaps she was exploited, what it then does is it puts other female guards at risk if this were to happen in the future. And they then say, I was exploited, I was under duress, someone took advantage of me, that they can then say, well, this other prison guard said the same exact thing and she got caught. So it makes everyone's case look weaker. To the acceptance of responsibility, when she gets to a point that says, I did it, I knew that it was wrong, I want to do better, and I'm glad you're holding me accountable, her life will change. There's no doubt the judge considered mitigating factors, some trauma, some breakdown that enabled her to cross the line. Judges always consider these mitigating factors. The problem, again, you can't undo this video and her willingness to participate in the video. That undoes so many of her mitigating factors. And in many ways, while damaging and detrimental to her to have this video get out, at least it shines light on the system of corrections. It proves that her claims weren't true. And it's going to ensure that things like this aren't going to happen, at least to the degree they did. To your point earlier about prison guards and their security.
Man, there's a prison guard somewhere getting piped down as we speak. What are we even talking about? This is an occurrence. This is not the first occurrence of this. Like, stop.
It's going to lead to more surveillance, cameras, and that comes at that costs.
They can't put cameras in the jail in the cell inside the cells.
Money at the expense of taxpayers, perhaps to the detriment of programs that can be put into this prison. So I don't buy her claims because of this video.
By the way, talking about this prison, the BBC reported in an article from this past August that according to the Independent Monitoring Board, HMP Wandsworth, quote, had the worst year in memory, that the 1,200 or so inmates were living in, quote, squalid, dirty, and cramped conditions. We're talking living in crumbling cells that were initially constructed for just single prisoners back in 18...
And there was 3 people in that cell where she was getting piped. Her and 2 others.
51. What do you know about this prison?
Think about how big that statement is. The worst year on record, considering, as you said, this was built in 1851. Can you imagine the conditions in the late 1800s or early 1900s? They were bad. So now in the 21st century, to think that this is the worst year, I've said it before, the prison should be torn down. They should rebuild it. There is no security. There is no oversight. They don't have the resources to properly train staff. There isn't programming where...
Yeah, it's easy to say tear it down, but that's the common thing in a lot of UK prisons. A lot of them like that.
Prisoners, the prison should be it is filthy, it is awful. As I have said before, we have had clients go from that prison to Metropolitan Detention Center that is housing Diddy and Luigi, and they would rather be in NDC than that prison in Europe. So to hear this is the worst year on record, considering it's been around since 1851. It tells you everything you need to know about this prison. Tear it down, rebuild somewhere else.
Before we finish up, Justin, I just want to talk more about Ms. Abreu and how she's going to fare in prison, considering, her mental health issues that were documented.
She'll be fine.
By the court, what she did, and now a video.
They probably talking to her. She probably living her best life. Girl, what happened? I knew you couldn't do. They having girl talk about it.
That has gone viral. How do you think somebody like her will fare in prison? And by the way, she was a former prison guard. I don't know if that would...
Doesn't matter, not in the UK, especially with women.
Hurt her as well.
Certainly there's going to be more scrutiny over her. What the prison system doesn't want is for her to get hurt, to get violated, to be taken advantage of. So you can expect a great deal of scrutiny. Certainly some prisoners will be sympathetic to her.
She's probably in a prison where there's 10 female prisoners.
Others will not be. Others might want to have a relationship with her. So she really needs to understand this environment that she is now in as a prisoner and not a guard. And I will say she has like two roads to go down. She can go down this path of acceptance, or what some people do is they just totally double down and they convince themselves over time they were the victim, they were wrong, they were harmed, the system was out to get them, they took advantage of her. And it's part of the reason some people who even accept responsibility to get a shorter federal prison sentence for the rest of their life say, I am the victim here. It was not my fault. I was exploited. I hope she makes the right choice for her and the sake of her family, but wouldn't surprise me a year from now she's issuing content or making
Told you 100%. That's what it's going to be.
Statements that puts her out there as the victim. It's too common. I hope for the sake of her
not the victim. She going to tell all. She going to do a lot.
Family, she makes better choices, and she'll have 7 months in prison to begin to get it together. The best day to start is like right now.
Yeah, we'll see if she gets some early release.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all I got to hear about that. I'm gone, man. I said everything I had to say.